Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with Virginia NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws and the Executive Director of your favorite chapter, Virginia NORML. It's Friday, March 17th, 2023, also known as St. Patrick's Day this year. And you know what that means? It's time for us to talk all things cannabis in the Commonwealth and answer your burning questions live. Hey JT, good to see you. Good to see you. Ah, which uncharming state? There's so many, JT. Which one do you mean? I do have some charming ones coming up for you. Hi, Ellie. Hey, Lloyd. Good to see you all. Hello, Skyline. Indiana. Got it, JT. Got it, JT. Yeah. So, hey, JT, let's just get right down to it. Oh, wait, hold on. Marcy. Marcy's got the jokes. I will not be having any corned beef, but I did get this sweet, sweet pint glass from our friends right across the plaza at Three Notched Brewing. They have their St. Patrick's Day glass and shirt available today. Hey, James. Hey, Matthew. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Matthew's here. I hope Lauren's here as well. Matthew and Lauren lead Kentucky NORML, who knocked it out of the park last night. Listen, if you've been paying attention, I've been telling you all not to sleep on Kentucky. And what happened yesterday? What happened late last night? That's right. The Kentucky Senate, for the very first time, made history and advanced a bill to legalize and regulate medical cannabis in Kentucky. This bill has now been scheduled for its final hearings in the House, which is absolutely expected to pass this bill and send it to Governor Andy Beshear, who is anticipated. His signature is eagerly anticipated. Governor Beshear has issued an executive order earlier this year that is sort of a blanket pardon for any medical cannabis patients that might have law enforcement interactions prior to the enactment of a regulatory model and a legalization model for medical cannabis. So that was nice. Good job, Governor Beshear, but this is better. This is what the state needs. And the House in Kentucky has twice passed, at least twice, 2020 and 2022, the House overwhelmingly passed a bill to legalize medical cannabis, which then stalled out in the Senate. So that's why it's so incredible, this victory in the Senate last night. And let's all drop some shamrocks or other green items in the chat right now to say thank you and to congratulate Kentucky NORML on their incredible history-making vote last night. MD, I am. This is green. It's not actually black. Like, hold on. This is black. So I don't know. Does that help? It's actually green. It was unintentional, honestly, but I am wearing green. Cassidy can attest to that. Sorry, it doesn't look very green on camera. That's right. That's right. Good job, Madison. Good job, Della. Everyone started dropping those green emojis, shamrock, hearts, broccoli, lettuce, leaves. You do it. Drop it right now in the chat. Congratulations to Kentucky NORML. They have lots of cool stuff in their Facebook store, their website store. So check them out. Show them a little green of your own this weekend and help them finish the job and legalize medical cannabis in Kentucky. That'd be neat, right? Awesome job, everyone. Big congrats to Lauren and Matthew. So huge victory in Kentucky. Looking forward to Kentucky becoming the 38th state at the end of this month to legalize and regulate medical cannabis. And also some really excellent news in DC. So back in 2021, there was a piece of legislation, an act in 2021 was passed in DC that will provide for the automatic review and expungement of certain marijuana-related convictions that are now either decriminalized or legalized in the district. So let's see, the Second Chance Amendment Act of 2021. It took effect on March 10th of this year, finally. And so now these cannabis-specific expungements have to be processed by the courts by January 1, 2025. Good job, DC. Way to catch up to Virginia. Don't get to say that a lot, do we? Okay, let's see. So this, interestingly enough, this Second Chance Act in DC, similar legislation's been passed in several states, including Virginia, and NORML estimates that over 100,000 pardons and more than 1.7 million marijuana-related expungements have happened since 2018. See? Normal. It's not just for legalization, but it is. Hey, Ryan. Ryan has a question for you, Lauren, or Matthew. I'm going to drop it up here. Ryan, who's watching on YouTube, wants to know if the Kentucky medical cannabis bill will permit smoked or vaped cannabis. Ryan, I think that Lauren or Matthew will be able to answer your question. And if I see their question, they're watching on Facebook. So if I see the comment here answering it, then I'll let you know in just a second. Hey, Fred. Good to see you. Hey, Della and Dan. Hi, Melissa. Good to see you, friend. Yep, Lloyd, one state at a time. Hey, Folly. Oh, Ellie, you're so kind. Thank you for your kind words, Ellie. Oh, Marcy, I'm so glad to hear that your mom is getting some benefit and assistance from her healthcare providers. That's super. All right. What else is going on? Okay, so Ryan, you asked about the provision in the Kentucky law, and I'm going to show you Matthew's answer right here. Matthew says there is raw cannabis in the bill so far. It's not meant to be smoked, but there will be flower, so that's good news. And, I think it's important to keep in mind that this bill that Kentucky is going to pass is not going to be perfect. And you know what? That's okay, because the other choice is nothing. And I get it. It's far more popular and convenient and makes you feel good to whine and complain. I don't mean any of you individually, but for people to complain about, oh, this isn't good enough and we deserve all this and we XYZ. Well, first of all, you got to show up and work for the XYZ that you want. So I encourage you to get involved and do that. But also you have to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere. We started here in Virginia with a tiny little law that was an affirmative defense. It wasn't even legal. It was still illegal. You could still get arrested. And then if you did, then you could present your certificate and the judge could accept it if they want. They also could not. And that was only for patients with intractable epilepsy. And we went from that in 2015 to 6 years later in 2021 being the first state in the South to legalize cannabis for adults 21 and older. Look, you just got to start somewhere, put one foot in front of the other, keep an eye on the emotional comfort of your legislature, and lean into that, right? You also have to be involved with them. It doesn't matter if you voted for them or not. Once they're elected, you need to go work with them and do so in a way that is congenial and professional, right? You can disagree with them on other issues, but you're there to work with them directly on cannabis and just help keep moving the ball forward. Now, this is a lot easier for us to do at NORML because our work is solely for consumers. We're not guided or shepherded or driven by industry objectives. We're not here to advance someone's personal financial interests. It's refreshing to be literally the only voice in the room that is there representing solely consumers. So we certainly have a different perspective than a number of voices that get in the rooms once they get a little bigger, where they're jockeying for their piece of the pie, right? We're only interested in consumers' piece of the pie, and there is no industry without consumers, so you should probably treat them right. Folly. Right? Cannot let the perfect be the enemy of the good. So important, so important. Right. Get your foot in the door first. You gotta start somewhere, right? I'm out of sync. I'm out of sync, JT. I don't know what that means. I mean, probably in a lot of ways, but Hey, Katie. Hey, Lance. Good to see you. Yeah, that's what happens, Katie, in the absence of. So Katie wants to know, how come Tennessee lets there be CBD dispensaries but not THC dispensaries, blah, blah, blah. And, that's what happens in the absence of access generally, is someone will step in to fill the void. Now, there's not necessarily anything wrong with CBD, but, if products aren't regulated, then that leaves questions for consumers. And Katie seems to have strong opinions about what's accessible in Tennessee. But right, to your point, Katie, absolutely go Kentucky. So important. I'm glad, Katie, that you'll have states around you that are, making progress. And it doesn't necessarily influence what's going to happen in your state. What's going to influence what happens in your state, Katie, is number one, elections, and then number two, the work that you put in. So we got your back. Don't worry. Lance, you're right. Good thing Missouri didn't wind up like Oklahoma. Good thing Missouri didn't hold an election, a special election in an off year. Good thing Missouri knew better. Oh, yeah, JT, maybe it is just you. Also, the weather here is not good, so whenever the weather's bad in Scott's Edition, we lose power or internet or both. So I'm just happy that we have one of them right now. All right. Hey, there has been a lot of action in the sort of mid-Atlantic, baby South area. Delaware passed an adult use cannabis bill with the required 2/3 majority through their House last week. So good news for Delaware as well. And hey, Tammy. Look, everyone loves this question. Tammy wants to know, when the feds legalize marijuana? Well, first of all, good for you, Tammy, for recognizing that it is, in fact, incumbent upon Congress to enact legalization at the federal level. And what that really means is to remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act and allow states to continue setting their own marijuana policies free from threat of federal interference. I say continue because almost every state has its own marijuana policies that are in conflict now with state or with federal law. So while medical cannabis regulatory models and those who participate in them are protected by a federal budget rider every year, adult use is not. And so we've largely relied for the past few years for the feds, the Department of Justice, to take a hands-off approach, which they really began doing so under the Cole memo. And great question. When will the feds legalize marijuana? I think we're a few years off from that still. And what we ought to be expecting is some forward momentum on cannabis policy at the federal level that's more incremental. And everyone's going to say, oh, that's not good enough. Oh, I don't like that. I don't, safe banking or veterans research. That's not good enough. We need legalization. Okay, sure we do. But you got to start somewhere, right? And it's okay to start somewhere. And so if it's, a bill like safe banking or something similar that we start with, that's fine. You gotta start moving stuff forward. And that's what's most likely to happen before we have a comprehensive piece of legislation, or even a simplistic piece of legislation that removes marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act and lets states set their own policies. JT, you had a lot to write about there, and I wanted to read it, but then that'd probably be boring for people to watch me read. Word from the point. I'm just going to drop your comment up here while I scroll through and take a little bit of, hey, Tammy, you've got some really interesting things here. Tammy comes back with a request for insurance to cover medical cannabis. Now, we did just have an article published. No, we didn't have the article published. There was an article published this week. Cassidy, you can probably find that on NORML's Facebook, but there was an article published this week in which NORML's Deputy Director, Paul Armentano, was quoted discussing the need for medical cannabis to be covered by insurance and when is that going to happen. Now, this kind of goes hand in hand with what you asked about before, Tammy, and that is when does the end of federal prohibition? That's really what needs to happen in order for medical cannabis to potentially be covered by insurance, as Paul clearly articulates in his quote. Federal government, insurance companies are not going to cover a substance that is federally illegal, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Hey, Greg, good to see you. Good to see you, friend. Folly, listen. Oh, wait, I want to get to your question, but I'm also gonna get up here to Michael's question. Michael asks, why are medical prices different by same dispensaries in different health districts, specifically cannabis? Is there regulation against streamlining prices? So first, Michael, great question. I don't know that this is exactly it, but it may be. So just let me talk through this real quick. So all of the medical cannabis companies in Virginia are allowed to wholesale their products to each other. This is good because the state came up way back in 2016 with this really antiquated model that requires vertical integration and is limited licensure, and has not since 2016 made any effort to move away from that. So here we are. So it is really important that we allow these companies to sell each other their products so that patients not only have a variety of products available, but it maintains consistent supply and guards against things like crop failure. But I do know that depending on the menu that you're viewing, so if you're viewing the delivery menu, oftentimes the delivery menu has the delivery fee added to the price. So I don't know if that's what you're seeing, Michael, where you're looking at the delivery fee, let's say in Abingdon versus what the in-store price might be in Portsmouth. But Michael, if you want more clarity on that, just shoot us an email at info@virginianormal.org, and I will ask those questions directly to see what's up. All right, Folly. Folly says in the 4-month period, 6 states had ballot referenda for adult use. 4 out of 6 states rejected this. We may need a new strategy to be more successful. So I don't disagree. One of the things that those looking to legalize by ballot initiative or voter referendum ought to consider is when they are holding those elections. So yes, when marijuana legalization is on the ballot, people turn out, but that's in election years, not in off years, not in special elections. So when your measure is on the ballot matters. It matters a lot. And then you gotta raise money. You have to have a well-funded campaign if you're going to run a ballot initiative or a voter referendum. You know, you just do. Tammy, you have a lot of excellent comments today. Tammy also says that it's ridiculous that you can't be a gun owner if you're a medical cannabis card holder. Yet people who drink can have guns. Listen, people obviously smoke weed and own guns in the United States. Let's just recognize the obvious. What's good news is here in Virginia, your medical cannabis certification is not something that's disclosed to anyone. So when one purchases a gun, it's up to that individual how they answer the questions on their background check. But we do get this question a lot, where people want to know if someone's going to know, if their job's going to know, if their insurance company is going to know, if the police are going to know if they get a medical cannabis certification. No. I mean, maybe if you like shoot your neighbor in the face and they have to go investigate you, but otherwise, no. It's a health record in Virginia. And we don't require patients to register in Virginia any longer. We did actually look at the code. There was a legislator who wanted to carry a bill this session relating to concealed carry permit in Virginia and medical cannabis certifications. And when they looked at code, when we looked at code, when Department of Legislative Services looked at code, there was literally nothing to undo in Virginia. So that's why there wasn't a bill on it, because there wasn't one needed. There was no code in Virginia to undo relating to medical cannabis certifications and concealed carry permits. We also don't have a guns and weed charge in Virginia. You have to be charged with a federal charge for that. No, MD, absolutely not. I'm just going to tell you that. And no, the Youngkin administration is not going to move on adult use before next session, or even next session, who knows. Tammy, I appreciate you as well. And thank you, Cassidy, for finding the Medicare story for Tammy. Hey, Dennis. Yes, in fact, we were at a very cool local festival last Saturday. We were at Shamrock the Block right here in Scott's Addition, and it was a blast. It was a little cold in the shade. It was really, really windy, but thousands of people were there. We saw so many of our live viewers came up and said hi and talked about how they watched the show, and it was really cool to meet these people in real life and see who they are. We had a great time at Shamrock the Block fundraising for Virginia NORML, and we will be at Pride, which is in September, so that's a little bit off. I will be at the National Cannabis Festival in April. It's April 22nd in Washington, D.C. They have VIP tickets and regular ticket packages available right now at the nationalcannabisfestival.com. And I will likely be bringing NORML's Coming Out Green merch to NCF this year, which will be different. We'll be in a new pavilion. And so stay tuned for more details on that. Matthew, you had a boat accident. Is this just a random comment that you're sharing with us? And if so, that's terrible. Good for you, Melissa. Hey, William, which expungements are you talking about? Which state? I think you're asking about Virginia. And I think I know what you're talking about. So in Virginia, we have what is called record sealing for marijuana misdemeanors. So this is misdemeanor possession of marijuana and misdemeanor possession with intent to distribute marijuana. Those records have been sealed by Virginia State Police, and by July, is it July 2025 or January 2025? Probably look at our website and find that out for you. The records must be more deeply sealed. This had previously been referred to as expungement, but they've updated. There was legislation this year introduced on behalf of the Virginia State Crime Commission, and in that legislation to clean up some of the language around these record sealings that you're asking about, they did change it to record sealing rather than expungement, because expungement typically means destruction of the records, and this is not that. This is a deeper sealing. So all that. Did I make like an expungement? I made an expungement page. I totally forgot about it. Hey, you can go to vanorml.org/expungement to learn more about that. So yes, on effective on or before July 1st, there's going to be that deeper record sealing for the misdemeanor possession and misdemeanor PWID marijuana. That's automatic. And then there will be petition-based record sealing for felony possession with intent to distribute. That's what's coming up. Now, there's some legislation that was passed. I'm pasting the link right here to our expungement page on our website. There will be some cleanup to this section once the new legislation takes effect that was passed this year. I don't know Kwame, I don't know how many campaign promises Joe Biden has broken, but one that he did hold true to was related to marijuana pardons. So that process is in effect. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago when the pardon process opened online for federal marijuana possession charges. That online application is available right now. And ultimately, as we discussed earlier, and I know you well know, it is incumbent upon Congress to pass legislation to end federal marijuana prohibition. The president cannot do so by executive order. Greg, tell me, why do leprechauns giggle when they run through the grass? I'll just sit here and wait for your answer. Greg, I can't post that. Everyone go to the comments on Facebook to read Greg's dorky comment. Give me a better joke. Also, it doesn't. They're very tiny and the grass is very high. All right. Hey, Tammy. Yes. So the only expungement, the only true expungement that we have in Virginia is when an individual is found not guilty or a charge is null prost. It's thrown out because the Commonwealth doesn't have evidence to convict. So when individual is found not guilty or the crime is null prost, the charge is null prost, then the individual can pay and go back to court and re-traumatize themselves and waste more time and more of their money to have their record expunged. That's the only type of expungement we have in Virginia right now. Then we, a few years back, passed this legislation to what originally was called expunge these marijuana-related crimes, but has since been reworded to record sealing because it's really what it is. They're not destroying the records, they're just sealing them. That's what we have. MD. So that wouldn't matter, first of all. So MD wants to know if you go, if he goes to the cannabis store in Brooklyn, do those purchases count against his Virginia purchases? No. Even if you were in a state that was in the prescription monitoring program, that's how different states use different systems. And this program, the system we use in Virginia is called the prescription monitoring program. And that is specific to Virginia law. So it's going to pertain to purchases you make here in Virginia from what are codified as pharmaceutical processors, which I urge you all to remember has nothing to do with pharmaceuticals. And it's just stupid language that lawmakers way back in 2016 were emotionally comfortable with because they didn't want to say marijuana or cannabis or dispensary. And it didn't really matter what they wanted to call it. Pharmaceutical processor, sure, sounds great. Whatever makes you feel better. Let's do that. Tammy JT is in Indiana. Hi, Sherry. Welcome to the party. Greg, this is true for hemp seeds. So Greg says, I just watched VDAC's industrial hemp manager say that seeds could be sold with a seed license and hemp registration because you can sell hemp seeds in Virginia. You can sell hemp if you have the license from VDAC's. If it's called hemp. If you call it marijuana, you call it cannabis, seeds is still in the definition of marijuana. Now, is the store over there that's selling seeds, are they, well, it's the store over there that's selling seeds, are they going to get arrested for that? Not necessarily. But is an individual who's doing something like that going to get arrested? Yeah, probably, especially if they're not white. So while the DEA has been clear that they consider seeds, cannabis seeds, holistically, cannabis seeds, to be hemp because seeds do not have THC, that did not de facto change Virginia law. Could there have been a bill this year to do that? Yes. And it probably would have gotten some A-OK traction. I don't know that the governor would have signed it because he has really weird feelings about cannabis. But to have an argument that's bolstered by a DEA position, that sounds like a pretty strong legislative argument. So I don't know why those who are in the retail sector weren't advocating for a bill like that, but they didn't. Greg, I understand what you're saying, but that's not what's in the code. So if you label seeds hemp, that would be permissible. If you label seeds marijuana or cannabis, it's not technically permissible under Virginia code. Are you going to get in trouble for it? Like, is it legal and can I get away with it, are two different things. And you and I both know that that's going to be different for different people. So we're not going to tell people to do stupid stuff. Hello, Joseph in Maryland. Maryland, also doing it right this year. Maryland, which is going to legalize adult use. I mean, the voters already said yes, but Maryland will have adult use sales begin on July 1st of this year. Virginia, listen to that. Maryland voters just approved legalization, and adult use sales are going to begin in Maryland on July 1st of this year. Why? Because they're doing what literally any state does and expands from adult to medical use, or from medical to adult use. They're going to turn on sales at the existing operators because consumers deserve to shop at stores that are already open and selling a product that's now legal. Imagine that. So I literally cannot wait for Maryland to start sales on July 1 and for everyone in Virginia to whine and complain about it. And then we can remind them how much they whined and complained about the idea of the existing medical stores being able to sell to adults 21 and older. It's so wild. The things people complain about in Virginia and that they don't complain about in other states is mind-boggling. But whatever, this is a special place. Folly, look, we have some good friends at MPP and they generally do some good work. I think what Matthew was perhaps alluding to, I'm not Matthew, so you'd have to ask him, but so MPP works on ballot initiatives. That's their bread and butter. They don't push bills through the legislative process. We do. And there was sort of a heyday where operators wanted to get into other states and they would bankroll these, help bankroll these ballot initiatives. And I think that well is drying up. So I kind of think that's what, whether it's that they're, diverting those funds to federal lobbyists, as opposed to there's just not the funds available or there's not an interest in funding ballot initiatives. I don't know, but I think that one doesn't necessarily preclude action on the other. We weren't bankrolled the legislative effort to I'm laughing just even trying to talk about it. The legislative effort to legalize adult use in Virginia, or medical for that matter, wasn't bankrolled by anybody except for Virginians. The people who funded our work, and by our work, I mean like parking at the General Assembly, printing, purchasing copies of emerging clinical applications for cannabis and cannabinoids, review of the recent scientific literature. Like, I'm talking about funding. I don't mean millions of dollars for like signature collection, some of thing, but real basic. That was Virginians that donated and ensured that we were able to be there in the General Assembly every day. Skyline, are you talking about hemp or cannabis? Sorry, we call that marijuana in Virginia. I don't know what hemp does, but in Virginia's medical cannabis program, which is the only regulated cannabis in Virginia, yes, is the answer. Yes, we require seed to sale tracking in Virginia in our medical program. Oh, Kwame, that's terrible. That's just terrible. Joseph asks, do you need a medical card to purchase in Maryland? Right now you do. July 1st you won't. Look, JT, you can legalize Indiana. We legalize Virginia. You just gotta be willing to take a beating. You just gotta be willing to settle for things that everyone else is going to complain about and just keep inching forward. Also, you have to vote, man. Like, voting is so important. Thanks, MD. I appreciate it. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate you. Skyline, I don't know if that's a great question for someone who works in hemp cultivation regarding hemp clones. I don't think they require seed to sale tracking because that industry is largely unregulated in Virginia. You're welcome, Joseph. All right, friends, this has been delightful. You all have had very interesting questions. I love the variety that you had this week. This is great. I love that we got to talk about new stuff. That was super cool. And big, again, huge congratulations to our friends in Kentucky. Amazing job they're doing there. So excited to see that state catch up to the rest of the world. Oh, hey, MD, in Virginia, anything happening with, so Monday, March 27th, that's the last day the governor has to sign bills. He'll sign bills. And yep, veto session is April 12th. So if the governor makes amendments to any bills, those bills will come back for reconvened session, also colloquially known as veto day. And then I just noticed that you have is that a wombat? It's delightful, whatever it is. The General Assembly will reconvene on April 12th to hear any amended bills and approve or reject any amendments the governor sends down. Happy corned beef and cannabis day to you as well, Marcy. Hey, before you check out, friends, please take a quick second to hit that like, follow, and subscribe button wherever you're watching so you never miss when NORML goes live. Also want to let you all know that in the 2023 NORML Denver Legal Seminar is coming up June 7th through 9th. This is new. This is a new type of legal seminar for NORML. This one is not focused on criminal law, but instead is a business law, cannabis law specific seminar where you can hear cannabis industry insights from leading legal experts. Whether you're an attorney who needs continuing legal education credits or you're just someone who really wants to hear from top experts and hear what's coming at the federal level, learn about different brand and IP and trademark issues. It's a really incredible opportunity to meet leading experts, to connect with these people, to network, to have a good time in the Mile High City. We also will be, we won't be hosting, but what will be hosted for us is the NORML benefit dinner, and it will be at the Marijuana Mansion this year in Denver. So that's new and exciting. That is open to individuals, whether you're coming to the legal seminar or not. You can still get tickets to the NORML benefit dinner at the Marijuana Mansion. This is all on the NORML website at norml.org/Denver. Full details there. It's a Hydrax. Thanks, Mike. Good to know. All right, friends, this has been great. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. I hope you have a fun and safe weekend. This has been great. I can't wait to see you all back here next week to do it all again. If you're watching afterward, feel free to drop your questions in the comments or shoot us an email at info@virginianorml.org or at chapters@norml.org. Now's the perfect time to remind you to get your NORML membership card for 2023. I cannot wait to mail it to you personally. I was going to show you what it looks like, but then I couldn't remember where they conveniently located right in front of me. Get your 2023 NORML membership card. Also, get your 2023 Virginia NORML membership card. I'll mail both of them to you. It'll be great. All right. And what do you know? Green, very, very green. Because according to our Instagram friends, freedom is green. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you back here next week. As always, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.